exactly 1 year after I moved out here. I moved out here October 2015, so coming up on
2015.
10 years.
Okay.
And then 1 year later, Paige joined the gym, and then we became friends like right off the bat, you know, and we would train together all the time and stuff. And you know, I don't know if you know this about Paige, but she's like one of the best in the world now in jiu-jitsu, and she started jiu-jitsu there at 10th Planet.
Really?
So I saw Paige over the past 9 years just like blow up into this phenom and, you know, beat some of the best girls in the world. And she started from nothing. So
wow,
it's cool. I like to think I played a part in it, being like her, you know, kind of like her mentor and her coach.
So did she start right around 2015 is when she
2016
started? Is when she started.
October 2016 is when she started. And,
wow.
And that's when we met. We were just friends at first, like very strictly friends. She made that very clear, which made me respect her more, honestly.
Yeah,
because
of course.
she wasn't a hussy. She she made it very, like, I even tried taking her on, like I took her on a little date one night, a few months after we met, and she wouldn't even let me kiss her. And I was a little bitter, but I liked the chase too.
Yeah, of course.
Can't lie. You know what I mean?
The best thing she ever did was the challenge.
It turned me down over and over.
The takeaway.
Yes. And so, it was July 2017 when we started dating. And
finally she said, oh, okay.
Yeah. She started, you know, it was a slow thing. It was strictly a friendship for a while. And then, eventually we started dating and been together ever since.
And then you guys get married?
Just earlier this year.
No way.
Yeah.
Congrats,
literally,
dude.
just thank you. Yeah.
Where'd you guys go? Did you do something
We just
simple?
went to the courthouse. Yeah, that was it. So I proposed to her last year, and she's like, you know how women are. I'm not a traditional dude, man. Everything I do is unorthodox and weird. Like I don't even see myself ever being the guy like standing up and bringing a whole crowd of people just to come watch me get married. Nothing against anyone who's done it.
I was the same way. Nothing.
Yeah, I just never liked that. It was never my thing. And so Paige was like, when are we going to do it? When are we going to get married? And I was like, let's just go do it. Just go make an appointment. So she made an appointment. It was January 23rd, I think, is our official date, you know, of marriage. And
incredible.
So we went up there and sealed the deal.
And how old is she?
She's my age. She's 32.
32.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you guys have kids? Are you going to have kids?
No. Definitely one day for sure. Yeah. We're going to make like some freaking animals, dude.
Yes.
Because she's a savage too. And
clearly.
Yeah. So it's a good combination.
All right. So when did you start fighting more? When did you go pro? How did it go pro?
My first, you know.
Do you want to tell the 10th Planet story, or you want to keep that under?
I don't care. I'll tell the story.
Yeah. What happened? How'd you get thrown out?
I was there a total of 4 years. My first 2 years was like, I was just like a student training and stuff. And then after about 2 years though, I started teaching there, like full time pretty much, and working the desk too, and doing that sort of thing. So I almost completely left Tipsy Crow just to take that on full time.
Right.
And, but like I said, would randomly pick up shifts at the Tipsy Crow here and there. And then, so yeah, I was like within a couple years of working there, or, you know, by the time I got thrown out, like the owner of the gym, I could tell he was kind of a crazy dude. He was a little unhinged. He'd just come in and start snapping over like nonsense. Like he'd like snap over like coins on the desk, or just like, and he was usually pretty cool with me. And I don't know if that was just like my energy or what, but like he would turn on other people, man. Like one of my best friends, Gabe Tuttle, who now he just opened his own gym in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
10th Planet Bastrop. But yeah, so he like
turned on. Is 10th Planet a franchise?
Yeah,
it is
a franchise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so, anyways, like one day he just like freaked out on Gabe, like snapped on him, and we both got like pulled outside. And I like kind of maybe mentioned something like, yeah, Gabe, he was like yelling about Gabe, like, it was just nonsense. I don't even know. Gabe did not deserve it though. The way that this guy was treated.
Right.
And I very politely made it clear to the owner that, you know, hey, like, I don't think that's like cool for you to be yelling at us like that. We're adults, you know, we should be able to just talk to each other. And then I don't know, he decided he didn't like me standing up to him, and he told me the next day, he's like, I don't want you in my gym anymore ever again. You're done here. And I was like, oh, okay. It was heartbreaking, dude.
Yeah.
I was crushed about it for like a month, because it was like my whole family got ripped out from under me. And You know, I was like a little upset with Boogeyman at first because I was thinking, you know, you're my friend. You should have stood up for me and told him, because Boogie's the head jiu-jitsu instructor.
Yeah.
So I was like, you should have said to him, like, no, bro, this is my homie. He's staying. You know, you don't get to tell him to leave. And I thought that he would, but he didn't. And it's like, you know, in hindsight, I think he just didn't want to mess up his business relationship with this guy.
Right.
I know it. I'm sure it broke his heart too for me to leave. Like he didn't want me to, and it was a really sad time. But then,
what did Boogeyman? What did he say to you? Hey, bro, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was just like, well, we'll get it worked out. We'll get it worked out. And then, you know, as time went on, it's like a few weeks goes by, and then he writes me, and he's like, maybe you should just write Bill and apologize. And I was like, no, I'm not apologizing for anything. Like I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not. Look, man, I stand by my word. I'm like, I'm not gonna do something that I don't feel is deserved, right?
Yeah.
I'll always own up, dude. If I screw up, if I do something I'm not supposed to do, I will always own up to it.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything wrong. You know, this guy just didn't like the fact that I was always willing to stand up to him, and the fact that, you know, I wasn't some little bitch who could be yelled at and told what to do. And that's why he got rid of me. And so it's, you know, it was unfortunate that it had to go down that way, but it's whatever. So I leave. And then, you know,
how'd you find another gym?
Well, so I was just kind of like bouncing around a few different gyms, like, just training wherever I could. And then Keenan, the owner of Legion. I went there and trained with him one day, and he's like, so you're not at 10th Planet anymore? And I said, no, I just had a falling out with them. And, I'm a free agent now. And he's like, dude, I'd like for you to start teaching here. And boom, that was my entry.
That's
so
great.
Then I started teaching there. And so one door closes, another one opens.
Yeah, I mean, everything happens for a reason, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And so I've been there ever since, and it's great.
And that's since 2019 to 2020?
Yeah, 2000.
So what happened when COVID hit?
Well, I mean, we were all out of work for a few months, so I was just like chilling and collecting unemployment.
Oh, yeah.
Paige and I drove home for like a month and stayed with my family in Indiana during COVID.
Where was she from originally?
She's from San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah.
So you drove back to visit?
Yeah. So we didn't have anything better to do.
Yeah.
So we drove back, and I trained with my old buddies, and we just hung out during COVID. And then, yeah, as soon as Legion opened back up, though, I started teaching again and teaching my privates.
Keenan's the owner?
Yeah. Keenan and Miha Perhavich. I don't know how to say his last name still. He's one of my good friends.
So this is Legion on Miramar Road.
Yeah.
And then, so talk to me about your career from there.
So, okay, I was a brown belt when I started teaching there. And then in 2021, Keenan gave me my black belt. And so I started competing at the highest level in jiu-jitsu, doing the biggest shows, and, you know, getting invited to do super fights and things like that. And I was like, basically my whole life was just jiu-jitsu and wrestling, competition and teaching. That was it. That's it. And then at some point around 2023, I started to feel a little unfulfilled with it. And there was always that voice in the back of my head going, you got to fight.
Yeah.
You got to go back to fighting. That's what you really love. You don't, you know, I'm not just a grappler.
Right.
Like, I like fighting.
Yeah.
And, so, it's the start of 2024. I said, you know what, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to take it as far as I can. And so I got one last like amateur fight. I say amateur, but in Indiana, it's always a little weird the way they do things there.
Yeah.
Went on my amateur record, but I got like paid and stuff, flown out to do it.
Yeah, you did.
And all that. Yeah. So, so I did that, won that. And then
that's out here in 24.
That was in Indiana. An old show in Indiana that I fought for them years ago.
Oh, really?
And then they brought me back because I told the guy who owns the show, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about fighting again. And he's like, well, if you want to come back out and do one last AMI fight, get you warmed up, you know, so it doesn't go on your pro record or anything. I was like, let's do it. So it was May 2024. I go back home. I do that fight against like a really tough amateur back there. This guy, he's like, kid was a savage. He won a lot of MMA fights already, and he's a pretty skilled kickboxer and wrestler and everything too. But so I beat him in like 30. How'd
you beat him?
I cracked him with some hard punches, and then I guillotined him.
You did?
Yeah. So it's like, that's my thing, obviously.
Yeah.
So then I get linked up with a manager that I knew from a friend out here right after that. And then I had my first pro fight.
Right after 2024.
Well, right after May of 2024.
Yeah. Okay.
So July 2024, I had my pro debut. I win that.
Where was that?
That was in.
How did you find a manager?
My friend introduced me to this man. Introduced me to his manager.
Yeah. Is it a friend from the gym?
Yeah, friend from the gym.
From Legion.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So it's Upgrade Management. That's
Upgrade. Okay.
And so July 2024, I had my pro debut. I won that in the first round. Punched the guy, took him down.
Another guillotine.
Side choked him from mount. And then I had my second fight, my second pro fight in Indiana. He found me a fight, and I was like, oh, cool. So I can have all my cornermen come down and corner me. And so I did that fight. I lost in the second round. I got TKO'd. Yeah, I beat myself, dude. I went out there and like punched myself out. This kid had like a brick for a head. So like the first round, I'm just hammering this kid's head, and he's like not falling down. I'm like, what? Like, what the fuck? Like, I barely even tried to grapple him, which was kind of stupid, but it's whatever. Yeah, he weathered the storm, and then the second round, I started getting really tired, and we got into a scramble, and I ended up on bottom, and I was fine, but I took a lot of like unanswered punches, and the ref stopped the fight. And good learning experience, though.
I was gonna say, must have been it.
Yeah. So that was my second pro fight, and then I wanted to get that win back, So I had my manager find me another one right away. So in December, he got me another fight. Fought this other super tough guy. It was his pro debut, Drayton Hayes, I think his last name is. We had a good scrap. I tapped him in the second round with a guillotine choke.
Where was this fight?
That was in LA, Long Beach.
LA, okay.
Yeah, lights out. The same place I made my pro debut.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my third pro fight. And then after that, I decided I need to go immerse myself in striking a little bit more because it's like, obviously I'm pretty skilled in grappling and like, I'm confident in my hands, but I'm like, I want to become a full package. So I went to Thailand in February, and I stayed out there for 3 months. And had 3 Muay Thai fights.
So who arranged that, or how did you think to do that?
It was something
You've been doing Muay Thai, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I wouldn't even call it Muay Thai. I do more striking for MMA. You know what I mean? That's what I've done over the years.
Yes.
It's like, so I practice all the tools, I guess, of Muay Thai, but I've never like really formally practiced Muay Thai.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that was something I really wanted to do.